From the beginning, without further ado, the Ukrainian war on September 9 saw a stunning reversal of the battlefield from Russia at Dobropolye. From a temporarily disadvantaged force, they turned the tables and surrounded the Ukrainian forces. It was not a gentle turn, but rather a sudden drift on the battlefield, both beautiful and dangerous, confusing the enemy. Today, the History and War channel will guide you through that reversal with sharp language, detailed analysis, creative defense map examples, and plenty of humor, ensuring the video is a great trend. 1. Causes and context of the battlefield. According to Dawntree News, the battle situation in Dobropolye changed dramatically from the beginning of September 8 to the morning of September 9. After a relatively disadvantaged day, Russian forces turned the tables, broke Ukraine's strong counterattack, and began to form small encirclements against Kiev forces. Specifically, a report from the Ukrainian General Staff showed that since the beginning of the day, there had been 158 clashes, including 45 in the direction of Pokrovsk. Russia launched 5 missiles, conducted more than 50 airstrikes, dropped 95 guided bombs, and used 1,952 suicide UAVs, and carried out 3,449 artillery strikes, putting the Ukrainian front line under extremely great pressure. Why was Russia able to do so? Drone swarm tactics and bombardment. The combination of suicide UAVs and guided bombs forced the Ukrainian defense system to strain to resist, easily revealing gaps and provoking reactions, creating gaps for the encirclement. Ukraine is too thin. No matter how strong the counterattack is, it is not enough to penetrate the Russian defense line at Ivanovka, Nikanorovka, and Suvarovo, and cannot reach the Krasny Torez River due to insufficient forces and firepower superiority. Russian forces flexibly applied, recaptured, and surrounded. They recaptured the positions on the western flank of the spearhead, held the eastern outskirts of Novesha Kovy, held the Hektovobalka ravine, and attacked through Nikanorovka. 2. Battlefield developments. Added a diagonal encirclement at Suvarovo, where Ukrainian forces are being held in dry ravines and forests. Note: Ukrainian assault units are trapped in a sandwich-like encirclement awaiting rescue. The wide gray area west of Dobropolye, the area of lost territorial control, has retreated more than 3 kilometers to the west, temporarily controlled by Ukrainian FPV UAV. The main force occupied. The total area of Ukraine regained is about 14.80 square kilometers. Russia controls an additional 3.64 square kilometers. Funny illustration. Drawing a Ukrainian command robot looking at the map worriedly, saying, "Returning Dobropolye is already an achievement, now we have to bear the burden of, what's the siege, Dad?" A small Russian soldier sneers, "This is the epic," lightening the tense atmosphere for a more lively video. 3. Interim results and strategic significance. A. Results on the battlefield. UQ was pushed back and pressed close in some counterattack areas. Some Ukrainian infantry were even trapped in a siege at Suvarovo, having difficulty retreating due to the open terrain, a situation that could have caused serious losses if not rescued in time. The Russian army was expanding the siege from Beletsky to the Volnoy area, establishing a complete pressure on the AFU forces at Dobropolye. Ukrainian counterattack efforts were judged as wasting forces because reserve units were thrown in as hasty cards without protection or support, causing elite forces to be exhausted in unequal confrontations. B. Strategic significance. Russia regained the initiative. Moscow now had the advantage of terrain and morale, forcing Ukraine into a reactive position and waiting for rescue. Ukraine's manpower situation is worrying. Assault units are fragile, reserves are almost depleted, relief becomes an urgent tactical priority. Communications and morale. Ukraine needs to prepare for a tactical retreat if it cannot counterattack effectively. In the worst-case scenario, it must return to long-term defense and wait for new aid. Diplomatic impact. The outcome at Dobropolye could impact international negotiations, influence the strategic orientation of Western partners on continued support for Ukraine. 4. Conclusion, summary, and call to action. Summary. Introduction. Russia turns the tide at Dobropolye, moves from passive to active, and begins to encircle Ukrainian forces. Development. Ukraine counterattacked strongly from Volodymyrivka to Poltavka, but was stopped by Russia, forced back 3 kilometers and forced to retreat. Result, Russia recaptured new area, 3.64 square kilometers, Ukraine retained about 14.80 square kilometers, but the isolated force in Suvarovo was at high risk. Strategic significance. Russia tightened the siege, creating great tactical and moral pressure on Kiev. Ukraine faced challenges in manpower and long-term defense. Conclusion. If you are still sober after this 8,000-word drama, please click like to motivate the soldiers on the front lines and the History&War team. Share the video to let your friends know that on the battlefield, the tide can turn overnight, and there are no peaceful nights amid bombs and bullets. Don't forget to subscribe to History&War, where each video is a historical delicacy, both satirical and accurate, enough to make you trending while still keeping your mind on edge. Thanks for taking the time to watch. If you need a script, a funny line, or a realistic animated map, our virtual editor is always ready to help make your video a phenomenon.